So now it's time to activate our advanced calculator. So after the user inserts a number and then selects a function from this list of functions and then clicks on calculate, we need to do that operation. So how can we do that? Well, it's very simple and similar to the simple calculator. But the only difference is that I'm going to be using the functions that are given by the math class of Python. So we have, as I told you, we have the trigonometric functions, we have the power and logarithmic functions. We have many functions. So I'm going to be using these functions to include in our application. So let's head on over back to the browser and let me show you what I'm going to be doing. So first of all, here in the design, what we want to do is that here we want to change the action because we want to execute another function that's going to handle the advanced calculator other than the simple calculate function. So I'm going to say here calculate and then underscore advanced, which is the function that I'm going to create shortly. And then the method is going to be post. There is no problem with this. And then we have here the operation. The name of the select is operation, and the name of the input is first number. So I'm going to just keep them the same. And then in the index.py, we need to create that function, the advanced function. So here just below the calculate, I'm going to create a new root. So I'm going to create a new app.root, and then it's going to take a root. So I'm going to just name the root calculate underscore advanced, and then the name of the function, I'm going to name it calculate advanced. And then this function is going to do pretty much the same here in terms of taking the first number, which is the only number, and also it's gonna take the operation, and then it's gonna determine, it's gonna use if statement to determine which operation or which function the user has selected. Because here, remember, if you go back to the browser, the user would have selected a function. So we need to determine which function the user has selected in order to calculate, in order to return a result. So what I'm going to do is that first here in the root, I'm going to here specify the method. The method is going to be equal to post. So here methods, and then I'm going to say post. And then I'm going to just copy these two. I'm going to copy them, and then I'm going to paste them here in the calculate advanced. And then we want here to use if statement to determine which function the user has selected. So I'm gonna say here if, and then if the operation is equal to sign, then what we want to do is that we want to calculate the sign of that number, of the number that the user has inserted, of the number of the user has inserted here. And where did I get this sign? This sign refers to the value. Remember, we have here the value sign, the value cosine, COS, value SQUR for square root. So these values are being used in the function here to determine which function the user has selected. So here, the operation, if the operation is equal to sign, then we want to use the sign function, which is this function. Let me show you that here. We have this function sign, this function math sign. So we need to import the math class in order to determine and return the value, the result to the user. So we need to import the math class. So in our application, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say from the math import, and then I'm going to import the sine, I'm going to import the cosine, I'm going to also import the tan, and I'm going to import the square root. Because these are the functions that we need for now, and later we can import more functions. So here I'm going to say, here if the operation is sine, then I'm going to say sine, and then I'm going to pass the first number, and then the result is going to be here. Let me here say result is going to be equal to the sign and then of the sign of the first number.